I have been sitting here doing math and thinking. With the increase in efficiency, I think it will work out to have them with me until our samurai levels. I think. Other spell list things. I did take a little bit of a break from this party and was doing science experiments with characters in my other save slot, because the party that I'd had in there wasn't anything I'd actually want to work with, so. But they had money, or that save had a bunch of money, so why not use it for outfitting new people for various tests of thoughts. There are different configurations of things that I want to see side by side to know just how bad it would be to do things in the way that I'm not, because I know just based on the information without having to test that I will get all of the spells faster being cleric and then mage, or mage and then cleric, because, well, one, both of them level faster than a wizard. I only have to get them to level 13, and 13 and above is when you get a flat rate for how much each level costs. But so I get to go through the cheaper levels twice at cheap rates to get all the spells and faster, versus for the entire other class is going to take a level's worth of XP for one wizard level. Because they cost more, and I could actually, you're a 12th level mage and they're 12th level clerics, so the number that's shown as what they need, that's how much it takes cumulatively to get to level 13, and it costs about that per wizard level once that expense is capped. So yeah, unless they got them at very nearly the same rate, +1, and they don't. Doing it this way is much faster. It's not fast, but it's much faster than I would get them the other way. Just like even someone that's going to be a samurai, having them be a mage first and get all those spells, because they don't even start to get them until a handful of levels in, and then who knows what kind of rate. Like, I'm curious, having like a samurai and a wizard who start at the same time. The wizard starts getting the wizard spells, the wizard starts getting the mage spells first, and then is slower with the divine spells. But they're slow with both. And I wonder, because they'll get them a little faster, but they level slower than even the samurai. I wonder how that would look, trying to get them all their spells side by side. Do I want to spend the time finding out that, no, the way I'm doing it, I already know is more efficient? But the numbers for how it would look in the way I'm not doing it, I don't know. I've never actually seen it, and that data is not available in the places I would normally look. I don't know that people have bothered to map out how many levels minimum do you have to put in for a samurai to get all their mage spells, or a wizard to get all their spells, mage and then divine, depending on how that pans out over time. I do it this way, or I'm doing it this way because it's faster by a lot. But, you know, if I actually want to do those side-by-sides, that's what I'm using that other save slot for, is testing things so I can see, okay, well, let me do a proof of concept with this, and yes, okay, this will work. Will it be efficient? Fuck no. Will it get the job done? Eventually. And even when folks who can solo, like a samurai, once they hit like level 5, they can go just solo Murphy. And yes, soloing makes up for some of the profound XP inflation, but only some. They still have a lot of levels to make, but at least they can do the job without having to share. So, you know, they're making each individual fight, they get to keep all of it. But yeah, that's what that other one's being, how that other one's being used, is testing just how inefficient are these other things, and just how viable is different avenues. Now, of course, I can't test things that involve the alignment change. Because that's not a reliably or frequently enough available option to be viable. So the things that I wonder, like, how long would it take for a samurai? Or how many levels would they need for them to actually have all their spells? They can grind on their own. They do require someone else to heal them because they can't heal themselves. So even with that testing, there's essentially prep work, or having lots of disposable temporary clerics on the side. Or I have just a regular fighter who brute force levels a cleric to 13, and then that cleric gets to be a solitary, having all the spells to heal themselves, can be a solitary samurai and work themselves through that. And either having brute forced at the same time, or having that samurai, that cleric turned samurai, brute force a mage through mage, so that I can have them be a lord and see just how slowly lords get their cleric spells. Lords level slower. So, if I were gonna do one first, effort-wise, doing them first would make more sense, but I would need the healing spells sooner than they would be getting them. So, because while age may not become a factor, I am curious if I wanted to save character years by spending more of my time, which is a very real thing, as opposed to theirs, which not so much. What that looks like. Because technically a fighter type could get all the spells all on their own and be able to do the soloing of Murphy for almost the entirety of that time. Because if you started as a samurai, because you can't start as a lord, you can't get enough points by a couple. I have done the math. Because you need 15, 12, 12, 15, 14, 15. And hobbits have the most stat points, and they already have that 15 luck, so might as well start with one of them. But even they're just a couple short. 29 isn't enough. It's close, but it's not enough. If it were just about testing the concept without dealing with class changes and ages, then starting them as a fighter, they'll already have the equipment, and just get them the level or 3. Like, they wouldn't even be up to I can go solo Murphy levels, and since they're getting it on their own, it wouldn't take that long to do. I would still need a cleric on the side just to add in, take back out to the maze, heal up, go back to town. But get them just enough stat points to actually convert and then be a lord almost from start. Because you don't lose those stat points, they can, you know, so make use of that. But that biggest hurdle is still the, if they can't heal from themselves from jump, I need somebody else on the side doing that job until they can. Then having the just regular fighter who's brute forcing a cleric up through to then be a samurai. I might as well turn that fighter into a lord. And doing it before that cleric is done. Lord's level slower. But he also, I would also want the competence back sooner, but maybe not do it as soon as I can, just because the level slower in this get those stats that make them more effective at their job slower. I guess how many levels it would take for them to be. If I didn't care about agility and luck, it's actually more efficient, stat-wise, to start as dwarves. For the physical and the magical stuff, that aren't the bottom two stats. So if I were going to build them to be able to get all the stats they need, except those two, sooner, do it that way. That's what I did with my testers for have a front row of just plain fighters, and the back row is a cleric a wizard and a mage just to actually see them side by side at the same time and see how much worse that is. And I looked at, okay, well, I want them to be maxed out in the stats that matter, and dwarves ended up actually being the way to go if I ignored agility. Everyone. Having them maxed out in their primary stats. And for the wizard, that meant both intellect and piety, and also maxing everyone out in vitality, because hit points. So, yeah. If I want them to be the best they can be at their job and get hit point and have better odds of getting hit points, fucking hit points, wizardry. Dwarves. Because then I can get them starting out as good as I can get in the stats that matter most. Then, you know, I can just worry about getting the other ones to the point I want them at, or need them at, for that class change, rather than worrying about working my way to full competence with my primary stats first, and then also trying to meet those. Be good at my job first, and then get the extra stuff on the side. And yes, having low agility sucks. Turn order, especially when you're low level, really fucking matters sometimes. And it matters more with the fuckers that can hit harder, which is all you can fight when you're not ready to come fight Murphy. So, yeah. Also, what I should have done is kept the ones I had who had the healings, the cleric spells. So, but there would have been class conflict. So I would have only been able to heal evil people, so it wouldn't have actually worked for me. Because I had a neutral and evil party. Because I had a ninja who started as a cleric and got all the cleric spells first. So I wouldn't have been able to heal a good samurai or a good future lord anyway. I'm gonna have to work one of those up from scratch regardless. And have burner clerics in the meanwhile, maybe. there's also the spending all that time out of curiosity when a fully I can't have a fully good party and have a thief. So having the evil party and figuring out the best way to circulate through the classes. Still don't know for myself or in a hypothetically ideal party. What kind of configuration I would want. already know that ninjas level the slowest. And have been told that they're not as useful as the... Well, that seems cool. Implies. Because their shtick is that if they're unequipped, their AC goes down on its own, and they can fight unarmed. So essentially you can have a naked ninja be effective. But that kind of creeps in over the levels, so for a while you have them equipped like as much like a fighter as you can, because it's more effective than what their level would give them. I have no idea what the progression actually looks like for that, of when they actually start to be useful, since they level slower. It takes a while to get there. And they're not as good at the thief job as an actual thief. So if I would be testing one, it would be in addition to having a thief. And they would be slower leveling fighter type, because they level slower than everything else, who's just by virtue of being behind on levels not as good at the job, even if they end up hitting the point where they'd be roughly equivalent to a fighter type of the same level, but they won't be the same level because they level slower. And so they're going to be a probably not as good fighter that takes forever to level, and a not as good thief who takes forever to level. Considering fighter and thief are the two fastest leveling classes, that's a weird position to be in, and also not have your shtick that's supposed to make that somehow worth it not work as well as you'd hope. But I haven't actually seen it for myself. Like, having them would be better than having neither of the others, but if you have both of the others, they are a backup to both jobs. Like, better to have them in the front row than a squishy caster once they have the AC for that. So, yeah, lots of testing ideas kicking around in my head. But all the work that would go into actually doing the testing is, I mean, all of that I can do while muting the game and watching and listening to other stuff. So it's not like this dedicated playthrough that is for someone because they asked. So I'm sharing all of it, so I can't listen to a podcast while I'm doing this because I can't share that. The way I do this on my own for testing or whatever would have copyright issues. And also, I'm definitely not recording myself singing and uploading that to the internet. Neither of those things are happening. Because if I'm going to listen to music while I do this, I'm going to be singing along to that, and nobody needs to hear that. Nobody needs to hear that. You're welcome. Now, with the risks for paralysis and death and all that, this is not a game you would ever really want to solo, just because there are so many random encounters that can lead to effects, status ailments, oops, you died, and if you haven't got a party to haul your ass back to town in the temple or cast at you to fix it, you're just stuck there, a body, lost in the maze. So, yeah. So, this is not a game you solo. That said, the kind of class configuration that might work best for that would be maybe a ninja or thief. Because if you don't have one, sure, Calfo has the same success rate of properly identifying, but one, I mean, well, there isn't really anything else in that category worth using, so sure, Calfo it up. But you still have to be able to disarm the traps, and when you're on other floors, the stuff in those treasure chests is gonna start mattering. So, being able to disarm the traps becomes necessary. So, if you're on your own, you need to be able to do that job yourself reliably. Especially since the traps on the boxes can do the job of paralyzing you or other things that mean you ain't getting back out. At that point, a thief is a less good fighter type, but they level faster, and are better at the thief job, versus a ninja hypothetically would be a better fighter type, but not as good at the thief job. And they level eventually. I think the pure number of additional levels a thief would end up having would end up on top of them actually being better at the thief job, would end up having them have more hit points and be a better secondary fighter type, just because they've got all those extra levels in it. That's an idea. Essentially have a party of 2 do the cleric and mage prep so they have all the spells, meaning I have to have other people escort them up through. And get them there, but then when they've got all the spells, have one be a ninja and one be a thief. At that point, both of them are going to have full stats, and I'll have a proper thief to compare them to in the same situation. Hey, there we are. And at least in this, it's actually giving the percentage chance of identifying and the certainty and then the chance to disarm. So all other things being equal, because their stats will be the same, I'll actually be able to see side by side, and then also the ninja will just fall behind on levels. But surprise is also a reason why soloing is bad. You can get surprised and, oops, you didn't even get the opportunity to run or attack or cast or... yeah. Alright. You. Cast the good spell. Lord is like 8 grand out. And yeah, that's a ways away. That's fine. 7 and change. Then they have a while, but you know, I got them all some more progress. That's not that many. But I didn't want to do it in one sitting. I didn't. Because I wasn't sure how long that would take. I didn't want to push it out to her going. But, yeah. We got one of them leveled, and I rambled about testing shit for a while. Because I've actually been thinking about it, so at least I had something to talk about. And I'll get back to this at some point. Because she's not that far off, so that won't be that long of an outing. Or I do that and then just keep going for a while? Maybe I'll just make that a short one. And then actually show some of the testing people that I've made and what I was doing. Either way, that's enough for now.